Coming up on Arirang News. Major reforms in labor are planned in South Korea, including longer parental leave and an all-time high number of visas issued to foreign workers. This comes in a progress report for the president given by the Labor Ministry and others. People in South Korea may not necessarily have to wear masks indoors in the near future. Health authorities are to discuss lifting the measure next week if the number of severe cases of COVID goes down. In Brazil, thousands of supporters of former President Jair Bolsonaro storm into Congress, the Supreme Court, and the presidential palace, denying his defeat in the presidential election. Good evening. It's 9 p.m. here in South Korea, and thank you for joining us on Arirang News. It's been a busy rush for the South Korean government in 2023 so far. The presidential office today saw another round of ministerial briefings, this time from the nation's health authorities, the Labor Ministry, and the Ministry of Gender Equality and Family. The Labor Ministry in particular is looking to address some key persisting issues. Our political correspondent Han Sung-woo tells us more.
In an effort to address the country's extremely low birth rate, South Korea is looking to lengthen parental leave for working parents from the current 1 year to 1 year and 6 months when both are working. That's according to the Labor Ministry, which on Monday briefed President Yoon Suk-yeol on its policy direction for the new year, along with the nation's health authorities and the Ministry of Gender Equality and Family. Labor officials also plan to up the quota of foreign workers on non-professional employment visas to ease worker shortages caused by the pandemic in industries that rely heavily on a foreign workforce. They've decided to issue E9 visas to an annual record high of 110,000 foreign workers this year, and are also seeking to revise the law to allow foreign workers to stay more than 10 years in Korea without having to leave the country and re-enter. And to reduce injuries and deaths in the workplace, the ministry is also pushing to force companies to adopt a so-called risk assessment system that will apply to companies with 300 or more employees this year and be expanded to include smaller firms with 5 or more workers by 2025. Considering the need to change relevant laws, parliamentary friction is expected. But in his opening remarks before being briefed in the afternoon, President Yoon did stress that politics must not get in the way of improving people's lives.
이게 선출된 정부가 하는 일이긴 합니다만은 절대로 이런 일들은 정치나 선거나 이런 진영이나 이런 데 영향을 받아서는 안 되고 정말 국민만 생각할 줄 아는 그런 데에서 우리 국민의 세금을 정말 아주 효과적으로 써야 된다는 그런 말씀을 드리고 싶고요.
한성우, 아리랑 뉴스.
Will we see lifting of the indoor mask mandate here in South Korea? Health authorities say it all depends on the number of severe cases as they see recent COVID inflow from China as less severe than expected. Kim Jung-sil explains.
Health authorities in South Korea say they could start discussions next week on adjusting the indoor mask mandate. In a briefing on Monday, South Korea's COVID-19 task force director Chung Ki-seok told reporters about the possibility of the adjustment.
If we see the number of those in severe conditions stably declining this week, we may officially begin discussing next week about the adjustment of the indoor mask mandate.
Chung added that South Korea is seeing a decline of about 10% in new COVID-19 cases from the third week of December. However, that there is no declining trend in the number of severe cases. He said it's possible there might be problems involving a new variant or the degree of vaccine immunity or the medicine used for treatment. Chung said it's important that officials take a closer look at the situation. When asked about the possibility of China's recent reopening of its borders posing a threat to South Korea, Chung said it's not likely. Regarding the situation in China, Chung said the number of arriving passengers who tested positive of COVID-19 is very low, saying China's recent reopening of pandemic border controls will not affect South Korea too much. According to South Korean authorities on Sunday, 14.8% of passengers from China arriving at Incheon International Airport on Saturday tested positive for COVID-19. But the number of arrivals from China is likely to increase as the country's one of the biggest holidays, Chinese New Year, or Chunjie, begins next weekend. Kim Jung-sil, Arirang News.
Now on to South Korea's latest efforts to boost regional development. The central government will work to grant provincial governments authority over the finances of universities in their areas. Our Lee Si-hoo reports.
South Korea's government and the ruling People Power Party met on Sunday and decided to grant all provincial governments authority over financial support for local universities beginning in the year 2025. Currently, the nation's Ministry of Education is in charge. Top government and party officials hope that the change will bring the competitiveness needed for local universities in non-capital areas. Also, to help the universities carry out education that caters to specific regions, restrictions regarding the establishment of academic departments and student quotas, among others, will be removed.
The government will transfer central authorities related to higher education to local governments and remove restrictions that act as obstacles to universities.
The transfer will take place in 5 cities or provinces this year as part of a pilot project. Then, beginning in 2025, the change will be applied nationwide. For universities that are greatly underperforming, the government will help with the disposal of properties, transfer of business, or the merging of institutions. Meanwhile, South Korea will work to build facilities for local residents on the campus of educational institutions that have closed down. Facilities such as libraries, swimming pools, daycare centers, and parking lots are expected to be built. The PPP spokesperson said the government and the party will actively collaborate to reform related laws to actualize the changes in the near future. Meanwhile, the January Provisional Assembly began on Monday and will last for 30 days, where members will discuss pending issues such as security and the economy. Lee Si-hoo, Arirang News.
North Korea's drones that crossed the inter-Korean border last month were a clear violation of key agreements that maintain a state of ceasefire between the two Koreas. That's according to Seoul's Defense Ministry spokesperson Jeon Ha-gyu. Jeon told reporters on Monday that the North's drone incursion over the military demarcation line was a provocative act that breached the 1953 armistice treaty that ended active fighting in the Korean War. He said the incursion also contravenes the 1991 Basic Agreement on Promoting Peace on the Peninsula and the 2018 military agreement to defuse tensions along the border. Seoul's response, he added, was a proportional measure taken in its right to self-defense under the United Nations Charter. On Monday, Joint Chiefs of Staff Chairman Kim Seung-kyum carried out inspections across the South's air, naval, and submarine commands to ensure full readiness against Pyongyang's provocations. He called for all service members to assume a decisive battle posture and maintain a readiness to retaliate and overwhelm the enemy. In the U.S., the Consumer Electronics Show came to a close after offering industry insiders and outsiders a glimpse of the trends shaping the future of technology. Sustainability is the key in mobility, and smelling looks to be possible in metaverse. Lee Dae-hyun explains.
Two key themes of CES 2023 were mobility and metaverse. And with around 300 booths presenting the latest in car technology, some participants say this year's CES felt more like a motor show. BMW unveiled a new concept called the iVision D, showcasing futuristic vehicle design. It features technology that allows the driver to change the color of the car's exterior on demand and a massive head-up display that spans the width of the windshield. Sony Honda Mobility Incorporation also showed off a new prototype of their much-hyped automated driving tech EV and unveiled plans for a new brand called Afeela. Big tech companies are also taking part in the smarter EV race. Amazon at CES revealed its plans to adopt its AI secretary Alexa to cars like Audi, BMW, and Toyota. Google also introduced their latest automated technology called Android Auto, which includes functions like automatically opening the door for drivers. Up to now, the metaverse has been all about visualizing the virtual world through a headset, but now it's evolving into activating the five senses. OVR Technology, a U.S. tech firm, showcased its VR devices Ion 2 and Ion 3, which allow people to smell things in virtual reality. Nikon, the Japanese optics and imaging products company, revealed Unreal Ride, a futuristic motorcycle prop that captures video of users moving through a virtual environment as if it were the real thing. A variety of robots ranging from autonomous delivery robots, fruit-picking robots, to robotic surgery assistants were also introduced during the event. South Korean companies mostly focused on connectivity and sustainability at the event. Instead of unveiling new products, Samsung Electronics presented a hyper-connected society, promoting home security and family care through their integrated connection technology platform, SmartThings. LG Electronics also unveiled several new OLED TVs, while SK introduced their latest eco-friendly technology, including EV battery chargers. The country's shipbuilding giant HD Hyundai revealed a carbon emission-free ship, which uses a liquid natural gas hydrogen mixed fuel engine. Jamie Kaplan, communication coordinator for the Consumer Technology Association, meanwhile said that CES 2023 was all about the importance of connectivity. Highlighting that these cutting-edge technologies should be used to resolve global issues, the official added that efforts to boost human security and achieve sustainability must be a top priority. Lee Dae-hyun, Arirang News.
The U.S. Undersecretary of State for Economic Growth, Energy and the Environment, Jose Fernandez, arrived in South Korea on Monday afternoon, making him the first senior U.S. official to visit Seoul this year. He's scheduled to hold talks with his South Korean counterpart, Lee Do-hun, about issues including the supply chain resilience and the Biden administration's Inflation Reduction Act. During his visit, he'll also meet with Korean and American companies crucial to the two countries' economic cooperation. He plans to stay in Seoul until Wednesday before traveling to Japan for the 5th annual Indo-Pacific Business Forum. A strong U.S. dollar last year appears to have reduced foreign exchange reserves in quite a number of countries, including Korea, whose loss, however, is limited compared to that of its counterparts. Shin Ha-young tells us why.
South Korea's foreign exchange reserves fell in 2022 from a year earlier as the authorities moved to support the local currency. According to the Bank of Korea, the reserves, a barometer of financial stability, amounted to about $423 billion as of last month. That's down by almost $40 billion from the previous year, marking the first annual decline in the 14 years since the global financial crisis in 2008. It was mainly driven by the government's effort to slow the local currency slide against a strong greenback. As a result, the country's foreign exchange reserves fell for 3 consecutive months from August to October last year. However, South Korea was not the only country to see a decline. Among the top 10 countries with large foreign exchange reserves, only Taiwan and Saudi Arabia have seen their reserves increase. Saudi Arabia's reserves rose as a result of rising global oil prices. The foreign exchange reserves held by other 8 countries, including South Korea, plunged. China, with the most foreign exchange reserves in the world, saw its holdings drop more than $130 billion in 2022 from the year before. Among those 8 countries, South Korea reported the smallest decrease.
Dollar has been weaker, and a lot of Korean currency reserves are in currencies other than dollars, and they have strengthened. Korea keeps much of its currency reserves not in the form of cash, but in terms of securities such as government bonds, and the value of those government bonds have risen.
He forecasts that South Korea's currency reserves will remain steady or increase moderately as the country is expected to see a recovery in its current account, while in its capital account is less likely to fall too much during this year. 신하영, 아리랑 뉴스.
Over in Brazil, supporters of former President Jair Bolsonaro stormed the country's Congress, the Supreme Court, and the presidential palace to protest the election result. Police have reportedly made at least 400 arrests. Jung Eun-ju has the details.
Brazilian President Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva pledged to punish hundreds of supporters of the country's former leader, Jair Bolsonaro, after they invaded and defaced the congressional building, the Supreme Court, and the presidential palace in the capital of Brasilia on Sunday local time. The breaches, which lasted a little over 3 hours, underlined the severe polarization of the country after leftist President Lula da Silva was sworn into office about a week ago. Tensions have been brewing since Bolsonaro lost the October 30th presidential runoff election and Lula da Silva returned to power after a 12-year hiatus. Bolsonaro supporters had been camped out in the capital since his election defeat. According to CNN Brazil and local officials, police have since cleared the massive crowds from government buildings and made at least 400 arrests. Federal District Intervenor Ricardo Capelli said on Monday that the situation is under control in the region. A Brazilian Supreme Court judge has ordered the military to dismantle all Bolsonaro supporters' camps across the country within 24 hours. The Supreme Court also ordered the governor of the country's federal district to temporarily leave his post. Meanwhile, Bolsonaro denounced his supporters' storming of government buildings. Bolsonaro challenged the election results and has yet to officially concede defeat, though he said he would cooperate with the transition of power. Following the uprising, world leaders expressed their support for President Lula. In a tweet Sunday, U.S. President Joe Biden said, "Brazil's democratic institutions have our full support," while United Nations Secretary General Antonio Guterres condemned the assault on Brazil's democratic institutions. Jung Eun-ju, Arirang News.
Korean director Park Chan-wook's decision to leave has been shortlisted for the Golden Globe Awards, which take place in the U.S. on Tuesday local time. That being said, our Song Yoo-jin delves into its prospects for victory.
One of Hollywood's biggest parties is back. The 80th Golden Globe Awards is set to take place at the Beverly Hilton in Beverly Hills, California on Tuesday local time, with a lot of glitz and glamour expected. Also, some great news for Korean production, specifically in the movie industry. Star director Park Chan-wook's latest film, Decision to Leave, is among the contenders for an award. Last December, the film was nominated in the Best Picture non-English language category. It'll be competing with Germany's All Quiet on the Western Front, Argentina's Argentina 1985, the Netherlands, France, and Belgium's Close, and India's RRR. Experts predict there'll be good news.
Park Chan-wook won the Best Director award for Decision to Leave at last year's Cannes Film Festival. I think that outcome will influence the Golden Globe judges' decision.
Park is a world-renowned director, and though the movie is a complex romantic thriller, its plot is easily understandable because it deals with ordinary emotions that we encounter in our daily lives. I also think chances are high because Korean movies are receiving great attention worldwide these days.
And if the movie does win, it raises hopes that more trophies could be on the way, with Oscar nominations to be unveiled later in January.
The winners may not always be identical, but winning at the Golden Globes certainly sets the mood that a movie is being highly evaluated and that it's the it content at the moment. So definitely a smooth road ahead for the Academy Awards.
This is the fourth year that a Korean actor or production has been nominated at the event, with success seen for the past 3 years. All eyes will be on whether Decision to Leave will continue this winning streak. Song Yoo-jin, Arirang News.
K-pop's biggest girl group, Blackpink, are adding more shows to their ongoing world tour. Their management agency, YG Entertainment, said Monday that the girls are going to perform 4 more times in Asia, once in Kaohsiung, Taiwan, once in Singapore, and twice in Macau. These concerts will take place between March and May. With this, the group will perform a total of 22 times across 12 Asian cities. Blackpink embarked on their Born Pink World Tour last October, starting in South Korea's capital, Seoul. They're expected to meet around 1.5 million fans, making it the biggest tour ever done by a female K-pop act. How do you visit a UNESCO World Heritage Site that's not open to the public? The National Heritage Center in the South Korean city of Daejeon may have the answer. It uses AI and augmented reality to transport visitors to natural wonders like Jeju's Yongcheon-dongul Cave. Shin-Se-byuk takes us on a virtual tour.
Colorful layers of white and yellow decorating the wall. Soda straws stretching from floor to ceiling. Water droplets echoing through the tunnel. You are looking at the secretive inside of Yongcheon-dongul Cave in Jeju, a UNESCO World Heritage Site that's not open to the public.
Though access to the actual Yongcheon-dongul Cave may be limited, it's been brought to life with the help of AR and 3D technologies, meaning visitors can interact directly.
The Natural Heritage Center in the city of Daejeon provides 6 pieces of immersive content, and one is the virtual tour through the lava tunnel. 10 projectors use 3D scanned data to bring the cave to life. It even features remains of animals, artifacts from the Silla dynasty, and blind cavefish.
It was great to see something that you can't see in real life. These were so realistic.
Another room presents 2 of the country's nature reserves, Hallasan Mountain and Seongsan Ilchulbong Peak, with augmented 360-degree visualization.
I only learned about those sites in books. This exhibition gives me the feeling as if I'm actually at those sites.
A tap on a smartphone screen brings dinosaurs to life. Zooming in and out, moving left to right, augmented dinosaurs give visitors a better understanding of the ancient creatures. A smart screen over a mammoth remains shows what the beast would have looked like. It tracks your movement, so you can view it from different angles. The latest advances in technology can preserve natural heritage while teaching people about those sites.
Cutting-edge technology like AR enable visitors to interact with natural heritage, though far away, while preserving natural heritage as it is.
The center plans to feature all 11 nature reserves in South Korea with AR technology in the near future. It will also expand the exhibition to grant visitors more immersive heritage site experiences. Shin-Se-byuk, Arirang News, Daejeon.
Daytime temperatures will continue to surpass the seasonal norms for tomorrow. The morning conditions will stay quite cool, with most regions seeing lows in minus figures. For Seoul, wide temperature gaps of 10 degrees will follow, as morning lows will be plunging to minus 3 degrees. For other regions such as Suwon and Gwangju, a wider difference of more than 10 degrees are expected. Make sure to dress in layers. And warmer temperatures will trigger a greater influx of fine dust from overseas. For central regions and the surrounding areas, finest concentrations will stay high for the entire day. For the Seoul metropolitan area, Gangwon-do and Chungcheong-do provinces, air quality will stand in the bad category. Make sure to have a mask that can filter out the dust particles, such as AKF94. Tomorrow, Seoul and Gwangju will be starting off at minus 3 degrees. And highs in Seoul will get up to 7 degrees. Daejeon 9, Gwangju and Gyeongju will be warm at 11 degrees. On Thursday and Friday, temperatures will be hiking up to 11 degrees Celsius in Seoul. That's all for now, and here are the weather conditions around the world.
That brings us to the end of the newscast. Thank you for watching. We'll be back tomorrow with the latest news in South Korea and worldwide. Take care.